Hey Niladri, can you see me? Why am I muted? So weird. Hey Niladri, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
There you
Yes.
go.
Okay.
Hi.
Awesome. Cool. Welcome, the two of you. Um, yeah, today is our first class, and we're going to take a journey together. There's a beautiful text called Aparokshanubhuti. Um, it is one of the, you can say, like a workbook that was written by Adi Shankara. So Adi Shankara, to give you some context, was a person who grew. Niladri, Niladri, are you saying something? Because I can hear you, or is there somebody talking in the background?
No, sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So Adi Shankara is a saint who grew up in the 800 AD period, according to the people who do like history, and he lived only for 32 years. But in the 32 years, he did a lot. He essentially walked around the entire country, and at the time we had a culture of um, debating and essentially trying to convince through the intellect and through logic that this path is more useful and it takes you to the infinite. Um, and at the time, the country was primarily like devotional, and like the sort of the Vedic aspect of reaching the ultimate, like Vedanta, was lost, and it became very ritualistic. Um, and so, through his own study and through his own genius, he basically re assimilated the ideas that were there in the Upanishads. So the Upanishads are like the texts that are at the end of the Vedas, and all they talk about are essentially three things: uh, who am I? How does this universe come about? And what is my relationship to it? Um, those are the three questions. And so those ideas in the Upanishads are fairly cryptic and complex because um, they are essentially similes and pointers, and so without like real like context, it is very hard to like just make sense of them, which is why they're all studied with a teacher, because it's essentially a direct transmission. And what the Upanishad is kind of like a cry of a person who's coming out of samadhi, or coming out of like this beautiful state and writing a poem. And so poetry is generally very hard to relate to unless you have had a similar experience, right? So then you can say, oh yeah, I understand what the poet was indicating. And so there's that. And then the second thing is it's in Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is also quite a complex language because it's maximum meaning with minimum words, and each word can mean different things in different contexts. So there's all this sort of complexity, and because of that, the implications of the Upanishads have gotten lost, or had gotten lost during the time of Shankara. And people had become very materialistic and stopped like really like valuing the contents of what the tradition was offering. So he decided to write these books. They're called Prakarana Granthis, which are like these workbooks. And so the Upanishad does not have any sort of uh, movement or a process. It just kind of talks about the ultimate. Whereas this is essentially like a sequential study of different aspects of what makes a human being, and our experience, and how do we sort of step by step analyze our experience and sort of move in the direction of letting go. um, and and so all of the contents that we're going to study is directly from the Vedas and the Upanishads, specifically the Upanishads, and you can also, you can say, the Bhagavad Gita, and so it is in the Advaita Vedanta tradition, and Adi Shankara is considered the sort of first guru, or the first teacher who really had a huge transformation in Indian society. And so, which is why he's revered, but he wasn't the first one. Like, obviously he had a teacher, and then the teacher had a teacher, and the tradition goes on, right? So the point I'm trying to make is, it's a very old tradition. It has been transmitted for like hundreds and thousands of years. This book was since Adi Shankara was considered to be born in like around 780 AD. So this book is at least like 1300 years old, right? So it's an old book, but it's still very powerful, still very valuable, and we're going to study it with the translation of Swami Chinmayananda, who is my grandfather guru, and yeah, I hope you're going to have fun. So, as is tradition, we usually start with a meditation to kind of just tune ourselves up and kind of get into the right frame of mind to undertake the study. So let's do that first. Okay. So let's start by closing our eyes and just taking a few deep breaths. Settle in. Continue taking a few conscious long breaths. On the exhale, just imagine letting go of whatever you're holding on to, any tension, any worldly concerns. You're just going to put those things in the corner for now. And we're going to just focus on our breaths. Continue taking a couple more longer breaths. You may start to just notice different parts of your experience. Maybe start scanning your body, starting from the top of your head, slowly making your way down. Just noticing any tightness or soreness, any pains on your body. And as you continue to breathe, if you notice any tightness, just breathe into that part, and on the exhale, just imagine that soreness or tightness just releasing itself. In this meditation, we want to start to notice that we are always able to get into this position of the noticer, or of the witness. We just want to gently pay attention to our moment-to-moment experience that's happening. And this experience is quite diverse and has different sensory experiences that are showing up moment to moment. So we can start by paying attention to any sounds that might be happening. You notice that I am aware of the sounds in the distance. I am aware of the sounds that are currently happening. I am not the sound, I'm the one who can hear the sounds. You could also say something like, the sound is being heard. Like, I don't really have to do anything for it to be heard. They're just happening. I'm just noticing that it's happening. We can move to a different sense door. If there are any smells in your awareness around you, you notice the smells. Smells are also being known. Their eyes closed, may not be able to see too many things, but if you can see any light images or color through your eyelids, that too is being known. We did the body scan earlier, so I know the different sensations on the body. The sensations are being known. Just like the sensations, I can also hear the sounds. Both of them are known in exactly the same way. Might seem like the field of those different experiences are different, but they are known in the same way. So there's the shared aspect of sound, sensation, vision, smell. Moving on to something subtler, you can notice if you're feeling energetic, maybe tired. I know the energetic state of my body in the same way that I know the sounds that I can hear right now. If I take a deep breath, I can know the breath in the same way that I know the energetic quality of my mind and body, the sounds and the smells. The same knowing kind of spans all these different fields. If I notice something even more subtler, I can pay attention to the emotive quality of my mind. Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling a little agitated? Am I feeling irritated? Am I feeling a little joy? That emotive quality is also known and seen in the same way that I hear sounds around me. You don't have to do anything in order for you to notice that all of that is happening and being known. You just have to maybe put yourself and place yourself in that attentive position. But all of it is known automatically. No extra effort is needed to know one versus the other. It's like shining a light in one direction and then moving to another direction. The light reveals whatever it is pointing at. So in the same way, this knowing is revealing whatever is in its attention. So now from an emotive quality, we can go even subtler. You can notice the different thoughts that you might be having. If you consciously think of a strawberry, the red color, if you slice the strawberry, the juice of it, the smell of the strawberry. So even the thoughts of things that are not really here is known in the same way that I notice the smell and the sounds. So I am the unchanging witness, the same witness, not a thing, not some external perceivable witness, the eternal subject. I can't be known in the same way that I hear the sound, yet I know that I am. There's this self-revealing, self-affirming quality to me. Like I know I exist. So I shine and my light reveals the world to me, reveals my world to me. My thoughts, my feelings, my sense objects, whatever my mind pays attention to, I reveal it all. And see if this revealing quality is ever, is at any point unavailable. I don't create it. I can't eliminate it. I can't change it. The only thing that changes is what it shines its light on. So the different fields, different objects in the various fields, so the sound, the emotion, the thought field, the smell field, the objects change. But I, the light, the one that reveals it all, is an unchanging phenomena. this meditation with chanting Om 3 times. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen so Niladri, you can see it as well. Oops. All right. So we're going to do the first verse. So usually the first verse of most texts are essentially the devotional verse, or like the verse where we prostrate to the great teacher. And so I think this one also does that. So let's start the first one. Shri Harim Paramanandum Shri Harim Parananandam Upadeshta Ramishravam Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namanyaham. So I bow down in prostration to that Sri Hari, the world preceptor, the Lord of the universe, the all-pervading, the cause of the whole universe and the supreme blissful reality. And so in this meditation, we started our sort of observation of our experience. We kind of acknowledged all the different things that we do experience, from the gross, the different sense objects, and we kind of brought our attention down to the subtler aspect until we got to the self. And so the self is the all-pervading, the world preceptor, the Lord of the universe. And so if a student can read this verse and can identify themselves, like their self, with the Lord of the universe, then the study is complete. And so there's nothing more to study, because that is the end, and that is the final conclusion of this entire study. And so as we start this work, we first, as a student or as a person who is still searching for answers, we create this entity which is the all-knowing and the all-pervading as an external form, right? Something that can give us strength to say, I am incomplete, you are complete, so help me. And so in the beginning we create the subject, I guess this duality of where I am the devotee and there is the devoted. And that's very helpful, because then we create the possibility that I can somehow contact the devoted. And so to a person who comes along and is really kind of suffering and struggling in the world, and at the same time does not believe in a higher power, then they don't have any support. And so in the beginning, it is very helpful to have some sort of a higher power that you can kind of connect with. I certainly did not, I came into this work as an atheist, and it was really hard for me, because as an atheist, there are only doubts and no answers. And this work is essentially a path of doubting, but then at some point you give up the doubter itself. And so you don't really find some real intellectual answer. What you find is something way more, you kind of give up the sort of doubting mind, because you come to terms with the fact that there is no real answer, and the doubting mind itself was the struggle. And so giving up the struggle and coming home to what? You're coming home to yourself. And so and so this is essentially bowing down to that great power of this creation, which created the universe, but also created me as well. And so yeah, this is a beautiful verse. Any thoughts about this?
So, it's from the same school as Drisha Viveka, right? That was also by Adi Shankaracharya, right? In a way.
I don't think Drisha Viveka was by Adi Shankara, but it is definitely one of the sort of introductory, or rather one of the practices in Advaita Vedanta.
Okay. So this is like a much larger context of the entire philosophy.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. So this is essentially much larger, and like I mentioned, it is kind of taking you through a process, and it's taking you through a process where you start from a place of identifying yourself as a human, with a body, with a mind, and which is where everyone starts, right? You're like, oh, I'm a human being, I have a body, and then we talk about the great benefits of having a human birth in comparison to like being born as an insect, right? Like an insect is beautiful, is complex and everything, but it doesn't have a mind that is developed enough to have the capacity to self-reflect. And self-reflection is one of the only ways in which we start to doubt and inquire into the nature of reality. If you don't have the capacity, then this is not going to. We're going to be trapped in whatever we are seeing and perceiving, because we have not made an inquiry into the assumptions and the beliefs that we have. And so this book essentially starts with the glories of a human birth and kind of takes us along the journey of subtler and subtler aspects of human experience. And because most of our attention is generally based on how the world has been set up, it's extremely externally oriented. So we're always like comparing ourselves, we always want more, and it's more material stuff, and so our energy and efforts are always outward directed. And even our Adi Shankara will talk about this, our senses are also, and our bodies are designed with senses that are outward oriented. Like our are always getting information from the outside, and then that information is interpreted in the brain, and then we either want it or we want to push it away. And so we are designed that way, and so it is hard, and it takes a lot of effort to change the patterns that we have been born with. And so this book essentially allows us to firstly acknowledge all of that, understand that, and slowly and surely move our attention from the gross to the subtle. And so it is very different from the Drisha Viveka, if that was your question. Sorry, that was a long answer.
Great, because actually I was in the recent past, I've been wondering a lot about humanity and what it means to be human and all that. So this book will, I guess it will be useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the second verse. Aparokshanubhuti vai prochate moksha siddhaye sadbhireva prayatnena vikshaniya muhurmuhuruhu. This intimate experience of reality, Aparokshanubhuti, is expounded herein for the attainment of liberation only and it is worthy of being carefully looked into again and again by the good people. Okay, so what is Aparokshanubhuti? So Aparokshanubhuti is a word that is many words that have been combined. So Anubhuti essentially means experience. So you can say I have had an experience of beauty when you go and listen to some really beautiful music, or you look at a really beautiful painting, or you go out in nature. You have an experience, right? We all have like the direct experience of something. So that is Anubhuti. Uh, Paroksha is essentially indirect. So, when I essentially tell you about an experience that I had, so I went to Oaxaca in Mexico last week, and I had this beautiful dish, which is a local dish. They're popular for mole, which is this kind of a curry that's made from different spices, and it's like a it's literally like an Indian, dal or something, but every household has a different recipe, so it's very uniquely flavored. And even though you might have it in one place, but it tastes completely different because of like the different ratios of the spices. And so, I have had the direct experience of mole, but through my description of it, you have had an indirect experience of it, and now you're kind of imagining what it could be like, right? And but until you go to Oaxaca, or where, if you go to a Mexican restaurant and you have mole, your experience would be indirect. And so, um, what we are looking for is a direct experience. And so this book is essentially a book that is going to point our attention to certain parts of our experience where we didn't pay attention to. And so, what's a good example of that? So, my teacher essentially does this all the time. It's like, all right, we are all here, in this room. Niladri, you're in your room, and we are having a human experience. But if I ask you to notice the attention of the waistband of your pants, if you can move your attention there, can you notice that maybe the pressure of like the elastic, or like maybe you have a belt or something, right? Can you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Niladri, can you notice that?
Yes.
Okay. So you have been having that experience since you wore your pants, right? It's just that because of all of the other stuff that's happening, our attention wasn't on it until we moved our attention to that place. Now you're like, oh yeah, it's there. And now I can maybe notice it more because it's in my awareness. So, in the same way, there's certain parts of experience that is happening, but our attention isn't there. And so we are noticing other things, and then we are not having a whole we are not like looking at our current experience in the perspective of the larger scheme of things. And so we might be having limited conclusions about what might be happening. And so this is a process of expanding our vision and lifting our vision, so now we have more capacity to be able to see more, and that will just help us make more sense of what is happening in our own experience. And so that's what Aparokshanubhuti means. It means a direct experience of the ultimate, of reality with a capital R. So you will notice that there are some words that we will encounter, like reality. So reality could, so the question is like, why are some words with a capital letter? So whenever something is with a capital letter, it usually means that it is something that cannot be changed. It is something that cannot be negated. And so if I am having an experience of eating mole, that experience can be negated when I am not eating mole. Right? It is sort of a temporary experience. It comes and goes, and it is based in time, space, time and space. So, if I have to go to the restaurant to eat mole, or I have to you know, eat it at a particular time, right? Like when I'm hungry. So, reality with a capital R is something that cannot be negated, because we are looking for the truth. So, what do we mean by truth, right? Like, if the sky is blue, is that truth? Because everyone sees a blue sky, is that true? And as we all know with science, and it's not blue, right? It is just appears to be blue. And so we'd say, okay, then we could say, is the fact that the earth is 7, or what is it, 8 light minutes away from the sun, is that true? Is that the truth? And so you, at one level, you would say yes. At the waking state level, that is certainly a truth, which means that whenever we operate in the waking reality, that fact is true. But if I am in a dream world, where I am dreaming that I'm in a completely different universe, or if I'm a completely different world, the rules of the light and the sun do not apply in that realm. It's not available to me. It might be available when I wake up and I come back into this world, but in that world, it is certainly not true. I can have my own rules if I'm a what is it called, a dreamer who can consciously dream, like a vivid dreamer, is it? Lucid dreamer. If I can lucid dream, I can create my own world, and I can say now light travels at 10 times the speed of the earth light, and I can make it up.
Yeah, but in logic we have things like a triangle has 3 sides. That is true, no matter.
But that is not that is just language, right? That is language. To say that is a triangle, that is a triangle. Like if I don't speak English, then I wouldn't call it a triangle, right?
But I'm not refuting the general idea of reality.
So you're talking about concepts, right? So the concept of a triangle could be true in the other world, is what you're saying. But the fact is, the concept does not exist permanently as a thing. Like, I have to consciously bring it up, right? Like, for example, in a baby's consciousness, there is no concept of triangle, right? It's something that they learn, and then they'll be like, oh yes, this is what is a triangle. Whenever I look at this thing, it's a triangle. Somebody who has never studied that would never even consider that as a triangle. But I guess the idea what I'm trying to bring at is, if you can negate it in any particular realm, which is like, it has to be true in every time I experience something, which is even in my dream experience. The thing that I am trying to assert as truth should be still valid in that state. Even in the deep sleep state, when I have an experience of nothing, that truth should still be valid. And I can say that I don't think I ever had any thoughts of geometry in deep sleep. Right? So that's a hypothesis. So that's kind of our definition of reality, which is that which cannot be negated in every particular part of my experience. Okay, so that's what we are pointing to, and it says that this book is only for liberation. It's herein for the attainment of liberation only. That is a very important word there. And the reason why it says only is because people have like interesting ideas of what liberation could be. Like, liberation could be like, oh, my life starts working out perfectly. I become a billionaire, or I become the most successful, person in the field of my choice, right? Like, all of these like romanticized ideas of what it means to be liberated. So it is also very important to understand what liberation is. Liberation means that we are no longer identified with the mind and the body. Full stop. which means that it doesn't matter what the mind and the body is currently experiencing. I have no current problems with it. So to give you an example, right now, Arti and me are sitting in my living room. My motorcycle or my car is not in my consciousness. Now, if my motorcycle is on fire right now, and I don't know about it, it does not matter. Like, it's not. So let's say let's say it's on fire. I had a motorcycle in India too. So let's say that motorcycle is on fire right now. It's like, and I know it. Absolutely makes no difference to me. Even though at some point in my life it was dear to me, right? And so, like, if my body right now is hurting, is in pain, feels discomfort, has some comfort, and my attention and my desire is like, oh, I need to change it, I need to fix it, I need to do something about it, in a grasping kind of way, it probably means that I'm still identified with it in some way. And so liberation is the ending of any suffering, which only happens to the mind and the body. There's no other kinds of suffering. And so it's like the elimination of all causes that cause craving, which is the cause of suffering. And so it says that, and it's worthy of being carefully looked into again and again, because it's something that does not happen in an instant. Liberation happens in an instant, you can say, but the process to get to the place where it happens in an instant takes some time. And he's doing a nice marketing thing. He's like, for the good people. It's like, oh, I'm so good. I'm studying this work. makes us feel good. So, we are good to study this. But it takes a certain kind of human being to study this book. So we will maybe get to the reasons why he thinks it's studied by good people. Okay, any thoughts about this one? Cool. Let's do the third one. Swavarnashram adharmena tapasa haritoshanat sadhanam prabhavet punsam vairagyadi chatushtayam. By constant performance of one's own duties, and by austerities, and by devotion to Lord Hari, a person can gain the necessary 4 qualifications, such as dispassion and so on. Okay, so this is straight from Viveka Chudamani. So, constant performance of one's own duties. So, we think that, if I give up the world and I go into a mountains or in a monastery or something, my life will be so much better, it'll be so much easier. But this work is not for just the monks. It's for the householder class, which means that we have responsibilities, we have our duties, and we need to perform them. So, we don't want to get away from them. We want to continue to perform those duties, and still have a mind that has the capacity and the space to do this work as well. And in fact, if you have a worldly life and if you do this work, the integration is going to be much more smoother and healthier and less jarring, you can say. And so, we need to perform our duties. And austerity. So, I think austerity is a word that has gotten a little mistranslated at times. Like, people think it's all about like giving up and living a miserly life and having less things and only wearing a loincloth and walking around, right? But it essentially means to perform tapas. So I think the word here is tapasa, and tapas has a root which is tap, which means heat, which means that you are making action towards a particular direction. and you're making efforts, and so that's the so that's like the constantly I am efforting to striving to do the work, and the work would be, whatever practice or whatever, wherever I am in my spiritual path, like whichever thing that I'm working with. Could be a emotional issue, it could be a issue about a relationship, it could be understanding this particular concept that I'm not able to wrap my head around. But that's, like trying to figure it out. That is essentially an tapas, austerity. And the reason why it's called tapas also is because, whenever we do something that is a struggle, there is heat that's generated. It's like you're kind of like making a groove in our brain that is against the stream. So, there's always going to be friction that ends up happening, and then friction always generates heat. So it's almost like an experientially we do feel hot too. It's like, I'm feeling the heat of wanting to do this, but having the presence of mind to not kind of yell at this person. Let's say I'm working on anger issues where I'm trying to not get triggered by something. It's like there is this feeling of wanting to do it, but I'm like, I'm going to stay in the discomfort, and I'm going to feel the heat of being in the discomfort. And then that heat is this tapas in action and the austerity in action. And then the third one is, by devotion to Lord Hari. So, like in the beginning, I mentioned that we create an idea of what is the Lord Hari. Lord Hari is, the ultimate reality. At the end of the day, Lord Hari is me. I am trying to come home. I am trying to access and get in touch with me, with who I really am. And so until then, I need to have the faith, the belief that I have the capacity and the grace of the ultimate truth, because that's going to give us energy and confidence in situations where we feel like we should just give up. So there's that. And then, the person can gain the necessary 4 qualifications. So this comes straight from Shankara's 4 qualifications of a fit student. I don't know if he kind of goes into what the 4 qualifications are, but yeah, so he does. So there are 4 qualifications. And so whenever we feel like our study is like a little, I'm feeling not as energized in doing the practice or doing the work, we come back to the 4 qualifications and we see which of these 4 qualifications am I currently lacking in. And if there is a particular qualification, they're like, oh, this is something I haven't paid much attention to, start like increasing that particular quality in us, and then you'll see the practice move forward. So it's like, I think Swamiji also used to say, like, it's like we're tuning our body and like increasing these different dials. There are 4 dials that we have, and if something feels off, like one of the dials is not correct, so we need to redial and like readjust, and then do the work. And so the first one, I think he said, is dispassion, so vairagya. And so this is so in Vedanta we will see a lot of lists, and the first item in all lists is the most important, and so they're in decreasing order of importance. So vairagya, I guess, is how he designed the first one, but usually it's viveka, but I can take vairagya too. So vairagya is essentially dispassion, and so dispassion we think of is like, I need to give up everything and become a monk or a nun, and renounce, right? So there is a quality of renouncing when it comes to dispassion, but the question is like, what am I renouncing? The only thing that I need to renounce is my attachment to things. That is the only thing I need to renounce, which means that I can, let's say I have a lot of money in my life, let's say I have a lot of toys in my life, I can play with them, I can use them, but have the clear knowledge that these are all on loan, which means that any time they can kind of either get taken away from me, or they can just fall apart. So that's one. So that's the actual definition. So now the question is, like, how do I essentially get to that place where I am no longer attached to things? So Shankara, Vivek Chudamani talks about contemplation of the defects of the things that I'm attached to. So if I'm attached to human beings, it does make it a little hard, but it is kind of easy to do it for, like, materialistic things. It's like, okay, so if let's say I'm attached to eating out and going to expensive restaurants, it's like, okay, it tastes really good for, while I'm there, but there is, like, all these different aspects that I have to maintain. So I have to have, enough effort into, like, maintaining a job in order to have, the money to be able to do that. Secondly, I have to, like, make time and, like, efforts to dress well and, like, go there and, like, do all these things to as well. Third is, like, there's, like, consequences of, like, always eating out. I can potentially, like, I don't know what kinds of ingredients they're using, and I'm always, like, falling sick and doing all these, and then have to, like, deal with that as well. So essentially looking at the consequences of the actions of the things that I'm attached to start to see the other side of the story, which I may not have paid attention to. So does that make sense? So when we are attached to something that we love things, we only look at its positive benefits. But everything that exists in this world has trade-offs. As we as computer scientists know what are the trade-offs of your decision, right? Like, it's like the pros and cons. So also look at the cons. And so once you start to notice the cons, at some point you're going to be like, is the cons, like, outweighing the pros? And when the cons outweigh the pros, there is natural renunciation that happens, because then we are no longer forcing our way of, like, saying, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this. It's more like we start to have insight into the act of what we are doing, into the action itself, and the action doesn't seem beneficial to me, and I let it go. And so it comes through insight, and it's not something that just is forced. Any thoughts about this?
It feels a bit I don't know, don't have good words for it, but it feels artificial to try to identify, like, something that I'm attached to, not a person, but, like, things that I'd be attached to. And then, I mean, there's attachment, there's enjoyment, there's, like, I think I'm still working through applying this in a good way to something that makes sense to me personally. But if I there's so many things I'm attached to. Like, it's easy to say, like, I'm attached to my job, for instance. I don't know if that's a good.
But why do you say you're attached to your job?
Okay.
Like, what is it? Okay, I guess then the question becomes, like, what does it mean to be attached?
I think that is probably where, like, I'm not able to.
So what is your understanding of what does it mean to be attached?
I like it. I don't want to not have it in my life.
Right. Is it this particular job, or is it just job?
This is the only one I'm able to think of right now. So
Yeah.
I'm going to, for sake of proceeding, I'll say this particular job.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not a good example. I'm not sure. Niladri, do you have something you're, like, attached to that's so easy for you to explain? Oh yes, I'm attached to this. That's not a person or living thing, because that's too difficult, I think. Material.
Yeah, kind of. I would say cannabis. Something I'm very attached to.
Yeah, that's substances.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay, great.
Substance,
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about cannabis. So certainly, like its pros and pros, there's certainly some value that the mind gets when we partake in it.
Yeah.
Right? There are certain like the experience feels good. Um, yeah, the experience feels good, and you want to do it. Right? It gives you pleasure. So there's this physical
Right.
sensation, and it feels better or like more joyful than when you maybe not be doing it, right? Which is why when you do it, you feel like, oh wow, this is actually fun and this is nice. um, and so we have to. So I don't know if you're looking to like not do it, but if you were, then one way would be to white knuckle yourself, which is like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to force myself into like, controlling my urge to want to do it, which is like not see friends who do it, or like, you know, throw away all of my marijuana, and like wear blinders whenever anyone's like doing it around me. That's one way to do it, but usually it doesn't work because like the underlying desire has not been eliminated. Um, so what this is essentially saying is like you can't just give it up, right? Like, but what you can do is you can start to reason about what are the what is the flip side of it? Like, what are the defects of doing marijuana? I don't know if you would consider this to be a defect, but this is my perspective. I also have done marijuana in the past, and I have given it up. Um, it certainly makes you feel good, but then it makes you feel good in comparison to your regular life. So then you start looking at your regular life, and then you start comparing it with a pleasant sensation that you don't have, which you did have when you were on marijuana, right? And so like now you want to escape the present life and you want to go into some other place. And so we can start to notice that that's the urge of wanting to do marijuana. So that there is a sort of feeling of wanting to escape from this experience into some other experience, which is the marijuana experience, right? We're like, oh, that is going to be so nice when I do it. I'm going to, get the munchies. I'm going to have this whole plan of ordering this food and like experiencing and having a, full-on party situation, right? And so we have to start to notice that there is this almost like a discomfort of regular normal reality that we are trying to soothe out with marijuana. May not always be the case, right? Sometimes you might just be like, oh, I just want to have fun and do it. But like in moments when you're not in that state, but let's say you're feeling a little agitated, maybe you can start to notice that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of learning like the context in which the desire to do marijuana comes about. And then you may go through with the desire, so you're trying to be conscious when you do that too. And then when you come out of it, also be conscious to be like, oh, I'm feeling so good, I'm feeling so good. What is good about this? Versus when you come back to like, oh, now I'm like out of the state, and I maybe judge that state to be like, oh, this is not a good state. What about that state is not good? That you compared it to marijuana to say that was worth having. Right? There's something going on that is making me say that this is a pleasant experience and this is an unpleasant experience. Like, what is it?
Right.
Yeah, and so through that learning process and through that observation process, you are cultivating the capacity to develop dispassion. Because then you will start to put, maybe through grace, something might happen where you will be like, I want to give up the desire of wanting to feel good all the time through an external cause. Like, why is it that I need an external cause to feel a pleasant sensation? Then there might be an aversion to sensation itself, possible, where you're like, I'm sick and tired of constantly playing games of sensation, which is like, I want a pleasant sensation, and then suddenly I feel an unpleasant sensation, and then I'm like, I want to fix the unpleasant sensation and go back to the pleasant sensation. I just want to be done with this game of just like managing sensations. Like, we're all like sensual beings, and that's where our attachment or our identification is. I wouldn't even say attachment. We are identified as sensual beings. We are operating at the sense level. And so then the question is there, can we not just escape, can we like lift our vision to see, oh wow, there's all this other stuff that's there, and the sense games that I was playing was a very limited game that I was playing. It's totally valid game to play, but there's another game, a possibility of another game that I can play, which completely removes the demand for the sense game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I feel the thing of reflecting on the negative side also is actually a really good way to see the thing for what it is.
Yeah.
Like what is mindful in the world.
Yeah. You just want to
Because obviously it's a very pleasurable thing, so you'll always think of it positively if you don't actually sit and reflect on the consequences.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're just dealing with facts from your own experience. It's like you're not, you don't need anybody else. It's like my own experience. What are the pros? What are the cons? How do I feel in one situation? How do I feel in the other situation? I'm only comparing my own experience. So it's my truth, fully my truth. And maybe marijuana is totally fine in all aspects of experience. Maybe that's true for you. Maybe marijuana has a completely different effect on your body where it doesn't cause any harm. It could be possible. But it's for every person to figure that out for themselves. Right? Like what is marijuana solving? What is the what problem is it solving in my life? Or is it just a hobby, or is it like a whatever it is, we have to figure it out for ourselves.
So the vairagya, which in English translates to dispassion, is, I'm sorry these concepts, but it's so central for me. Like the things that we are attached to, or are, attached to, identify with, whether or not we know that that's what's going on, identification, and it's the vairagya means to like understand that and find your way of like not having that like attachment.
It's to give up the attachment to the pleasures of the senses.
Give up the attachment to the pleasures of the senses.
So it doesn't mean that I don't smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
I don't want to be attached and addicted to marijuana.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So which means that if I wake up one morning and I'm like, oh, I need to smoke marijuana because I'm feeling agitated, that means that there is an attachment to it. But let's say you're just in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm doing
it's there,
well.
it's coming.
And somebody is here, like, you want a joint?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do a smoke. Like, it wasn't a seeking out because I'm uncomfortable.
The craving wasn't there.
Yeah. Same thing with everything in your life.
Got it.
Like, if there's anything where I'm like, oh, I need to do it because otherwise I'm going to throw something at somebody, then there is like an attachment. And then,
can you be attached to good things though?
Is there anything that is a good thing?
For example,
Like what?
Exercise. And
even
clearly I don't have that. Okay, this is.
I mean, even that can get a little crazy.
It can
right?
get.
Yeah.
But it's still like if you get up and you're like, I need to go for a run. There are people who do this. I need to go for a run, and then it,
release the endorphins. But if you're doing it from a place of like, I need to throw something at somebody and then let me go for a run, then you're not dealing with the underlying cause of why do you feel so agitated. You rather fix the agitation and then be like, oh, I love running, let me go running. So you're doing everything with a place of love and contentment, rather than like, I'm full of lack and now I'm doing this thing to fix my lack.
Got it. That I now understand, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Vairagya, very important. One of the qualifications of
there itself failed. I have already failed this list.
Yeah. And this is a range. Thankfully, it's a range. Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. Thank God it's a spectrum. There is no binaries here. All right, verse 4.
Oh, wait, verse 1 only had Vairagya? That verse only
Yeah,
had
it said dispassion and so on. And I will assume he will go to the others in the next one. If he doesn't, then we'll have to redo that one. Oh, he talks more about dispassion here. Great. Brahmadisthavaran varanteshu vairagyam vishayen vanu yathaiva kakavisthayam vairagyam tadhi nirmalam. So the pure and perfect dispassion is such a sense of aversion towards all sense objects, from the position of creator Brahma to an immobile object, as one would have towards the refuse of a crow.
Whoa.
Okay, so he's saying that he's pretty intense here.
He's got a sense of humor, I think. The first time I'm like... Beautiful.
Okay, so you want to aversion is a great way to see the other perspective, right? It's like I'm so attached, I love this thing, but then you have to also see the cons. So if you see the cons of something, then you start to see, oh, there is possibility of aversion here, right? So it's like you're seeing the holistic picture, not just being like seeing like the yin of something. You want to see the yang too, and the way to do that is to contemplate the defects of the object. Everything has a defect. Nothing is perfect. So it's like, do I have the capacity to like look at a defect of something? Even if my lover is like, oh my God, the best person in the world, there is a defect to that thing as well. You can contemplate it, like, oh man, this person is kind of crazy. And so like then our attachment is not insane. It becomes a little bit more like, oh wow, this is a balanced and reasonable thing. I can enjoy this thing now versus being attached to it. And so he says a very important thing, which is like all objects, even from Brahma the creator, who is the god, who is a god, I suppose, or who is even a deity, is one temple in India, right? And so even if you are like, if Brahma comes in front of you, you'll be like, okay, thank you. There are some defects to Brahma too. Because any attachment is essentially cause for suffering. So he's saying, you can think of the poop of a crow if you have to. So we kind of covered some of this in the previous verse too, which is like, how do we develop vairagya? So it's by contemplating the defects of something. So all of my attachments, I can contemplate the defects of my attachments. Okay, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, first time I got that as well.
The refuse of a crow?
Yeah.
That's you can use that with your friends now.
Refuse of a crow.
I'm not going to say more. All right, verse 5. Nityamatmam swarupam hi drishyam tadviparitagam evam yo nishchaya samyak viveko vastu na savaihi. Okay, so now we have the second qualification. Atman is in itself is alone, permanent. The seen is opposed to it. Such a settled conviction is truly known as discrimination. All right. So the second qualification is viveka, so which means to discriminate. So in this work, we are discriminating, and not at the level of at the level of race. We are discriminating between what I am and what I am not. That is the only practice that exists in the non-dual world, because non-duality essentially has discrimination in the word itself. So non-duality means not two, and so it is asserting the fact that we are having an experience where I see many things. But the fact is that it is one. It is not two, it is one. Right? And so, in the same way, we are discriminating and we are sort of looking at all of our experiences to say, I am here, everything else is out there. I am here, everything else is out there. And everything else includes everything. Includes my body, includes my breath, includes my energy, includes my thoughts, includes my feelings, includes my ego too, my identity, all of it. Everything else encompasses all of that. So the practice of discriminating between me and not me is viveka, discrimination. So whenever I get too caught up with something, remember, oh, I am here, that thought is there. I am not the thought. Drop it. So like, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? My boss said this to me. Oh, my girlfriend said this to me. I'm having this issue. They hurt me in this way. I am here. All of that content is over there. I am the self. The content is not me. It's like me being concerned about, my neighbor's car that's like being stolen. It's like maybe nice to be concerned, but it doesn't affect me. Like I will be unchanged if the car is fixed or not fixed. It doesn't affect me at all. And so always remembering and keeping this practice of like noticing I'm untouched by whatever is I'm untouched by the contents of my dream, right? Like whatever I dream of, the most craziest dream that I have, the scariest dream or the most beautiful dream, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, okay, that dream wasn't true, wasn't real. That is true about every experience in this world too. It's just that we think it is, we make it important, and no, it doesn't mean it doesn't have importance from a relative sense. Like when you're when you're acting in the world, when you're participating, it has meaning and it has impact. But once it's done, it's done. It's no longer, it's like a dream. Like it's just not available anymore. Like I can remember it, I can think about it, I can reflect on it. I can be like, oh, was this what happened? Or was that what happened? I don't remember the exact thing. I think it was like this. Just like how in the morning when I wake up and like, what was the dream? It was like this. And, it was vivid. I'm like lost it. It was literally 5 seconds ago. Now I can't remember. So many memories of my past experience of this world I have no idea about. Right? It's just like a dream. But while it's happening, it feels so real. And so that is the discrimination, which is while it's happening, it feels so real. And I wanted to burst out of my body and do something about it. That is illusion. And so that's the practice to apply in that moment. To be like, whoa, wait, hold on. Like, firstly, I guess, Vairagya would hopefully help with like the attachment to want to fix, and act in that particular way. And then second practice is discrimination. Like, okay, I'm here, whatever is happening is out there, can I let it go? So there is this sort of letting go implied in discrimination. It's like if I'm stuck in traffic and I have like a meeting in 10 minutes and I know the Google Maps is saying 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm so annoyed. I'm like, move, I need to make the meeting. But at some level you cannot. And in the moment the insight like arises to be like, you know what, it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm just going to text the person and say I'm going to be 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. You text it, it's done. They say, okay, no problem. And you're like, whew. All of that frustration and the thing, that energetic, like wanting to change what's happening has been gone. So I just like let go of it. And so we have this capacity to just like let go of my urge to want to fix it or to want to change something. And the quality of and the power of discrimination develops that capacity, because you are seeing that what I am fighting it's like I'm trying to control the waves, right? I can basically stand in front of the waves and like keep waving my sword to be like, go away, go away, go away. And if you look at a person doing that, you're like, they're an idiot, right? But we kind of do that all the time. And so if we start to have the capacity to discriminate, to be like, oh, I'm trying to fight something which is unchangeable, let it go. And so then our energy is no longer we are not wasting energy. So our energy comes back to us. And then that energy we can then use for more discrimination, more energy. So we stop wasting energy. And then we have more energy. And that energy is actually, we have infinite bounds of energy. It's just that there is a lot of wastage through this expression and wanting to control and changing and pushing things. And so discrimination. Second most important, actually I think it's the first, but this one has it second. But top two, Viveka and Vairagya, the two V's. Okay, any thoughts about this? Cool.
So is there any situation where like discrimination would not be useful?
I think when you're very focused at work and your thought, when you're not agitated, you don't need to discriminate. Discrimination is only useful when you're agitated.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a process.
So like in a flow state or something like that, where you're just like,
yeah,
that's in a way you're sort of in single-minded focus or something.
Correct. Yep. So if you're in your flow state, then you're good. There's no need to discriminate. There is no problem. Only when your mind makes up a problem psychologically, that's the time to discriminate. And so if there is an actual physical problem out there, right? Like, I don't know, like you need to make a decision about, there's potentially like you're cooking something and you can see that there is a fire starting to emerge because of like something. You're going to run and like take action. You're not going to be like, is that real? Is this not real? I'm here. It's over there. All good. Let's continue. Let's continue to,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, action, uninhibited action is action. But psychologically, if you're stuck, if you're like fighting some thought or a feeling or anything that's a mind-made thing, that you want to discriminate against.
Right.
So if you're like, this person is a nasty person who's making the food there, I wish they can I want to see what they're doing. Like, are they wasting a lot of, I don't know, whatever you're thinking in your mind. And like all of that stuff is like a wastage of energy.
I think these practices are hardest when you're happy with something. I think it's easier for me to imagine this in negative situations. I suppose I'll ask you questions as they come up and I'll register them, then I can talk to you about them. But I'm imagining, I think cannabis is like a very good example of that. Like, I think it's very hard. I mean, I know like it's that craving, and I know that those are easy to identify. But I think there's so many things in life which is, in the nature of like, oh, I'm happy with it. I'm, in my head, I'm content with the situation enough that I don't even recognize I'm attached,
right.
So that is sort of, I think, where I mean, like, it's hardest to apply.
Totally.
Yeah.
And my experience with that has been like, as you get more and more sensitive and like the energy starts coming back, then you start to feel the pain of everything. It's like right now, let's say you do feel the pain of, I don't know, like eating chocolates or something because you're like, oh my god, I'm like just feeling so sugar rush all the time. You can be like, okay, I can at least see that. But you'll be like, oh, but cannabis, I'm like, this is too good, right? Like I don't feel the urge of cannabis, right? It's just like, oh, I'm always enjoying it. I'm always surrounded by people who are doing it. Of course, like there's no urge. But as we start to pay attention, to start notice, then we will start to feel, okay, what does it feel like with a clear head? what does it feel like with a post-cannabis head? We will start to see the difference. And then you'll be like, oh, I actually prefer the clearer head. Even though the cannabis experience for like 2 hours is great, but the cost is too much. Like 2 hours, and then I'm like 3 days of like grogginess, right?
Yeah, which is why I don't do it, but yeah.
Yeah, but like I used to do it, and I was never even considered the 3 days of grogginess. I'm like, it's worth it, right? But like over a period of time, you will start to become more attentive to different aspects of the day and the experience and all of that. So the pain will just become apparent because it's there.
Yeah.
It's there, and we just need to get more sensitive. Yeah. Cool. Let's do one more. All right, verse 6. Sadaiva vasana tyaga shamo yamati shabditah nigraho bahyavrittinam dhamma ityabhidhiyate. Abandonment of desires at all times is called shama, and restraint of the external functions of the organs is called dhamma. Okay, so we have these two, actually they are like 6, this is a group of 6 and they've only described 2 here. It's called Shat Sampati, which are like the 6 different like things, tunes, different like tuning devices. So first one is shama and the second one is dhamma. So shama is like sort of an internal restraint. Dhamma is like an external restraint. So if you think of, we have like 5 organs, we actually think it's like 10 organs of action, like the 5 like senses and like the 2 hands, 2 legs and hands, legs, mouth, genitals and anus. Those are the 5 like sort of the external actions. So the senses take in information and these are like outward expression of energy. So it's like information in, expression out. Hands, legs, mouth, genitals, anus, 5. Because you can pee and poop. So when we want to talk about dhamma, we are essentially saying we want to restrain these 5 external ways of expressing ourselves. So we're constantly like either like saying something or like moving our hands or moving our legs. So like can we like stay conscious and only consciously move and do things? So our energy is conserved and we only need to do as much as necessary. You know how sometimes you're sitting and like shaking, unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you see some, like I used to do that, and like, I see some people
still
do
doing
it. Yeah. And so there is this energy that we are wasting that requires energy. It's like we have to start to become very like scrupulous about our energy. It's like, oh, I don't want to waste energy. Which is, when I'm sitting, I'm like, sit still, be stable. If I'm noticing I'm shaking, I'm like, okay, why am I wasting energy? Stop it. And so we are getting very conscious about all of it. So like there's that sort of external action. You're like, okay, that's fairly doable. The harder part is is shama, which is the sort of like the expression of energy in the form of thoughts. Like, what am I thinking of? Mostly I'm thinking of my desires, right? Which is my vasanas, which are what are like the past experiences of my life, which have had a huge impact on me, and I either want more of it or I want less of it. So it's either a craving or it's aversion. And those are the thoughts that my mind is constantly working on. And so which is why we say abandonment of desires at all times is called shama. And so whenever a thought of desire of like, I need to do this, I need to do that, you're abandoning it because you see that thinking about the desire actually does nothing about acquiring the desire or about actually getting what I want. It's just wastage of energy. And so this process is about conservation of energy, both from a physical sense and from a mental sense. And it's thank God, it is not a binary, it is a range. Or what do you say? Spectrum. Right? So we can be really horrible at it, but as we start to notice that we are wasting energy, immediately we'll be like, let me stop doing it. So immediately there is a fix. And again we notice that we are wasting energy, immediately we stop wasting energy. Which is just stop doing what you're doing. It's like, and it doesn't mean that I need to, hit myself and punish myself. It's just like, oh, stop. You're shaking, like, oh, stop. It's okay. You don't need to shake. I'm fine now. And then you're like, okay, not done that. If you notice your mind is like thinking about, I don't know, how to impress your boss, it's like, oh, no need to do that. Stop. Like, unless you actually consciously want to do that, maybe you can do that. It's like, oh, I'm performance, or like my career planning is happening, I'm consciously thinking about my career plan. So it's like we're trying to be as consciously possible and live in present moment reality as much as possible. Like, whatever is needed to be done in this current situation, that's the only mental and physical action that I'm doing. Anything that is not part of this current thing is unconscious. Or maybe you're consciously thinking about something that's not here, that's fine too. But anything that's unconsciously happening is a wastage of energy. So when we do that, all of that energy, when we gather, something happens. It's a mystery. But it essentially allows us to become more and more sensitive. So like what you were saying of like, I don't even know what I'm attached to sometimes, right? Is it an attachment, or is it just a thing? Or I don't know the defect of something. Like, how do I even look at the defect? Because I don't see the pain of it. All of that is because our energy is scattered. And so once we start to get concentrated in terms of our energy, then we can start to notice those things.
When we are on this path, is it okay to like recognize one of those things and be like, it's too soon, I can't.
Yeah, you can only work on something that you can chew on, right? If the piece is too big, it's like you need it to break up. And thankfully there is a lot of time. We think that we don't have enough time. There is time, and we want to have a sense of urgency, but at the same time we want to be gentle too. It's like, take it easy. We have built this volume of habits over long periods of time, so it will take some time to undo them. So just do what is manageable. So take something that you can work on. So find something, it's like, okay, this seems like a manageable thing, let me try working on this. Was there a particular thing you were considering?
Yes, anime. It's like deep and long, and I love it. Like, this is what I mean. Like the things, like it's such a happy bringing like thing for me that I have not.
I think it's probably worth thinking about something that's misery producing rather than happiness.
Okay.
Like, start with things that are is like pain.
Like alcohol is an easy, like that's been one that I've been chipping away already. I'm making good progress. Like that's definitely on the table as like a misery producing attachment. That's
it's like everyone wants to at least get rid of the things that give them
misery,
right? And misery.
Yeah.
Anime, if it's enjoyable, why do you want to give it up? Like enjoy it. Well, don't give it up. Give up things that really it's about the ending of suffering.
I guess at least as long as you're not addicted to it, it's good, right?
Correct. Yeah. It doesn't mean don't enjoy. This work is not anti-enjoyment. It is just anti-attachment.
That's a very interesting space to explore.
And you will know whether you're attached or you're just enjoying. It's like you can enjoy your body too. You can be like, oh, I don't like this body, like touch and feel, like it's nice to feel. But if nobody is touching you and feeling you, then you're like suffering. Then you're like attached. So like, but while it's available, go for it.
That's also a very interesting space.
But everyone has to make their own lists. So this is the beauty of self-study. You're studying your own self, your own psychological content, you're making your own pro-con list. What are my pros? What are my cons? And you're working on them. How do I develop my pros my qualities, how do I make them better, and how do I look at my cons and how can I give them up, right?
So just to ask clarification, so in that shama dhamma, right? Shama is when the input is coming, it's like starting to
think about
that. It's
it's basically thinking, yeah.
And the external, like when you're acting, that is dhamma.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Internal energy expenditure is shama.
Okay.
External energy expenditure is dhamma.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. We are over time, so I think this is a good place to stop.
Unfortunately, next Monday I'm not there.
Okay, no problem.
I'm going to listen to a Pink Floyd album in some 32